Hello everybody and welcome to Senior Susie Stamps. I'm Julia and I am so glad you're here. We've had quite an uptake of new followers in the last month and I appreciate your subscribing to the channel. Today we're going to look at a Take 10 magazine, a couple of cards that I found that kind of stimulated my creativity for the cards that we're going to look at. I'm always interested to know what pokes us in the right direction for a card, and so we're going to look at that. But first of all, I want to mention that there was an article in Split Coast Stampers, and I'm going to link all that below because it was what really started this whole ball for me rolling. But let's look at a couple cards in here. In the day, Take 10 did some design challenge, and they would post a little layout, and then the next quarter you would see the results, and these are some design challenge results. But this is the card. Let's make sure y'all can see that well. This is the card that I saw when I was flipping through today, and I thought, oh, I like that kind of faded ombre effect there. So that's part of where we're coming from today. And then I found these, and they're all part of that same design challenge. And see that little strip background here and here and here, and then a focal point. So keep that in mind as we go through today. This is the spring 2015 edition, and I will put a link down below for Stampington and Company Take 10 back issues. These are not current magazines. They are no longer available for subscription, but they have some reasonable prices on some of their back issues, and they have a back issue fall sale that you can sign up for, but I'll leave you a link for that. Now, in that article was Drywall Tape, and somewhere in the blog she mentioned that 6-inch drywall tape was now available, and I've been kind of putting off getting any drywall tape, but I just simply could not resist when I found out that there was 6-inch drywall tape available. I'm going to cut a piece here that's about 7 inches. It's easy to cut and it's tacky, so it will self-stick over and over again, I might add. And I'm just going to pull this little piece of tape off that helps you find your starting point and put it back on here. It just makes things a little easier the next time you go in to pull, to have that right there. Let me show you some cards, and then we'll get started. And here's the first one. And I used some clear enamel dots. There's a video on how I do those. If I can remember, I'll link that below also. But this is just a simple, straightforward note card. I put a little black edge around. It took all of about 5 minutes to make this card. I kid you not. Here's the inside piece of that, where I used the negative space. I guess this is the negative space, and this is, oh, I get them confused, whichever. It's the opposite space. Sorry about that. Oh, let me tell you about these stamps. This is an old set, 2000, and it's called Long Stemmed, and it makes great little simple note cards. I got this used from eBay. It had some replacement foam on it, which I have to pull off because this old foam, it just doesn't work. But this is a piece of new easy foam, and it works beautifully. These stamps stamp gorgeously, and so I'm tickled with them. Let's keep going through these cards. I've got some. This is a monochromatic Christmas card. And if you saw last Sunday's video, you'll recognize the peace, love, and hope sentiment and the Merry Christmas on the inside. So Very simple card to make. And then this one is a double take of both the negative and the positive space, and I hand doodled the bows and ribbon, and this is an old Stampin' Up! Stamp. I don't know what date it is, and I keep my stamps separated by category for Christmas, so I have pulled these out of the sets. I can't tell you what set it is, I'm sorry, but I just went back in and glued a few little gems onto the Christmas tree and let it go. This is a little sentiment that we did last week, and here's the inside. This sentiment comes from a set that one of my followers from Australia sent me. Thank you, Nina. And it has some great Christmas sentiments on it, and this is the one that's on that card, Christmas to Remember. I don't know if it's still available. If not, I'm sure it's available in some of the used markets. So, let's get started with this, because I went to my scrap pile here and pulled out a piece, and it looks like I got the last piece, so I need to cut one that's about 2 inches wide, I think. Get my cutter over here. And then I have a 1-inch square punch. I feel certain that you could do this with a round punch, a flower punch, a heart punch, a star punch, whatever kind of punch you want to punch. And I just kind of try to get the center, and then I move up and down a little bit. And if I come off the edge, that's okay with me. And if it's a little crooked, that's okay with me too. I don't want it to be anything that is set in stone, because it's just the nature of how it goes on this kind of a project. Now I'm going to put this on one end or the other of this oversized piece of drywall tape. I want to kind of get it lined up straight in the line so it doesn't look overly wonky, and then I'm going to go back in and fill my holes back with the squares that I took out. And that becomes important for when you're trying to line things up, if you're doing the double ink part of this procedure. Looks like that one may need to go the other way. Hang on just a second. There. And now I'm going to pull this piece off, because I was just using it for placement. There. And I should mention also, I'm going to mark this on the back. There. Hang on. I want to cut another piece of drywall tape that is approximately 2 inches. There we are. And I'll put this piece on after a while when we're finished. So what I want to do then is to make sure that I put the sticky side on the top of this piece, not the back. And that way when it's flipped over, both of the tops are going to be the same. Okay? Makes sense? Now, let's get started. I have some pieces of cardstock cut here. They're quarter panels. So these are 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I will trim these down. I have all manner of different inks here to use today. And I'm just going to pull out some different colored inks, and we'll start on this process. So I like to kind of center and make sure that center it this way and make sure that it's in the placement that I want it to be, that I can trim off a little bit and it'll be where I want it to look right when I'm finished. And on these, I'm just going to do a little bit of an ombre or transitional effect, if you will. Starting with this, what color is this? I don't know. It is Summer Sun, an old Stampin' Up! Color. And I'm going to do about a block or two in the Summer Sun. And maybe come down a little bit into that third one. And then I'm going to go directly into Regal Rose, which is another old ink color. These old inks work just as fine as the new ones do. And then I'm going to pull that down in a little bit as well. And so you'll see this transition come alive when we pull the paper off. And this is Balmy Blue. And I am going to do a little wipe down on, well, I'll just get a different brush for the blue. And there we go. So there's a nice, easy background. Let me get a baby wipe, because I don't want to be getting this on the back side of my cards, which you know I will. Okay, so we're going to pull this now. And there you can see what a nice background that is. And if you wanted to do a card like this, that's where it comes from. Works perfectly. Now on this one, I would cut a 1/2 inch off, and I would do that by cutting a 1/4 inch all the way around, and then put my black edge in with my big chisel point, chisel tip Sharpie. You've seen me do that lots and lots of times before. But I think today I want to go back in and show you how to do that additional background on that, like I did for the one Christmas card. So that's where this piece comes in. And it should lay over top of this precisely because of the way we did the little squares. And these then act like a mask for the rest of the piece. And let's do a little light green on that. I'm going to go back into the brush that I had the Balmy Blue on. This is certainly Celery, a nice light green color. And we'll just pull some in around here. Okay, let's see how this came out. How fun is that? I think that'll make some really nice little Christmas presents. So let me get this cleaned up just a little bit. I'm going to bring my trimmer in and cut this down. And normally I would do a 1/4 inch off all the way around, but because the white is so prominent over here on this side, I believe I'm going to take the 1/2 inch off of this side for the width and bring it down to 3 3/4. And then I am going to cut a 1/4 inch off of each end, which will bring it down to 5 inches. And that leaves a partial package on each end then. So the end result is 3 3/4 by 5, which is an A2 card size layer, and it will work beautifully on the card. Now I'm going to take my chisel tip Sharpie and go around the outside of this card, just for a little extra definition when it goes up on the card base. That's all this is. Oh, you can use this piece by cutting it down just 1 more 1/4 inch. I hate it when I do that, but you know, it's a lesson to be learned. So let's do 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch off of both of the present ends. So it ends up being another A2 size card layer, just 1 more 1/4 inch down. Sorry about that, but we might as well try and save it. I am going to do the black edge, hopefully a little better this time than I did the last time. There. Now let's see. I believe I'll use this stamp for the front of it. And try to just get it straight. It doesn't matter if it oversteps the pattern of the presents just a little bit. But that one actually worked out just fine. Now I'm going to take a black, let's see what this is. It's a Pigma Omicron .01 pen. And it's a really nice fine point black pen with archival ink. And I'm just going to draw, just draw some ribbon in there. And give myself a little bit of fussy ribbon, if you will. And not worry too much about it, because these cards are kind of whimsical. And that's what you want on a card like this. It's already got a lot of motion and activity going on. So I'm just doodling some bows in there and some ribbon. There we go. And one more over here. And maybe I'll have it come out this way. Or, yeah, we'll just go to the top. No, we're going to come out this way. There we go. And I'll just do a little ribbon there. And just a little whisper of the centerpiece there. Now, I need to get this mounted up onto a card base, and I'm going to use a top fold card that's going sideways. Put it down with some Books by Hand PVA glue. And I'll use my tweezers. And this then is going to have a much wider border, but the border is the same all the way around. And there we go. I'll rub it from the back. And let's get this card finished. Go get my little box of my little notebook of sentiments here. Let's try this Merry Christmas and see whether it'll work. No, it won't. It needs to be a long, skinny one, doesn't it? Special holiday hugs to you. That one might work. And again, we might use this one. It matches the other card, but I don't care. That's all right. I really kind of like that red with the black, and then we'll do some more red gems and a yellow gem for the star. Looks like I don't want it to come all the way to the edge because this is a little bit short, so I'm just going to trim this back to where this edge equals that. Let me show you how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to measure from here to the edge, and it looks like it's a little bit less than a 1/2 inch. This silver bar on your cutter here is a 1/2 inch. So if I flip it over then and I bring the deck the halls in to where it steps over that 1/2 inch a little bit, then you see my ends are as close as I can get them. And I think I may put this up on some foam tape. And there we go. Just fine. Now I can add some little 2mm red gems on the Christmas tree and a yellow one in the star, and brighten those up just a little bit with these gems. And I will use art glitter glue for that. And my little Marvy jewel picker that I told you about last week or week before, because it works so well with these little tiny gems, this little small end, on picking them up and moving them around. These are some diamond dot trays that I got from Amazon, and they work really well with these kinds of gems because they're so small. I can't pick them up very well with my fingers, and so I can dump some out in the tray, and then I can toss them back in there. But more importantly, when you shake the tray, the gems all roll up to the top. Don't ask me how to do that. I don't know. I think it's magic. Honestly, I do. Put a little drop of glue there in the star. We're about to have a storm here. There we are. And so there's another nice little festive Christmas card. Easy to do. Let's do a little something something for the inside. You want to? Hang on. I think I'm going to come right back in with my green ink, the Certainly Celery ink, and just give myself a little tiny backdrop. Not much, just a little blush of color here. That's all we want. And this will pull the front to the inside of the card, and then I'm going to go back in with that same stamp and my black ink, and a piece of scratch paper because you know how that is. You gotta have it. And just put it on this little corner over here. There we go. And that's a nice little inside treatment then that goes with the outside of the card. And I will go back and add the little gems to the inside here. And I'm going to add Christmas sentiment to this one. The same one, love and joy come to you, may it last the whole year through. I just thought that was precious. Very precious. And I'm going to put that in real red because, remember now, that's what was on the front. And I kind of like my sentiment colors to travel from the front to the inside of the card. Let me get my real red ink. And there we have it. Card's done. So I hope this little technique has given you some ideas for some cards this year. Easy Christmas cards. You couldn't get any easier than these. Especially that one that's just the single layered one. These make great thinking of you cards, get well cards, just hi how are you cards. So there they all are. And I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and maybe you'll think about getting yourself some drywall tape and using it. You can also put it directly on card for texture and all kinds of other things, other uses for it. So there you go. Well, I hope you all have a great week, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye, everybody.